Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tea and Stories with Mama Carla Wiley. I hope you have your tea. See, if not, have a pot. While people are coming in and getting all ready, hello, Maria. How are you? While people are coming in and getting ready for Tea and Stories, let me do a little commercial. You know, Tea and Stories is brought to you by Paparazzi, by my Paparazzi accessory page, and I put the link to my page up there. And I want to thank you all for coming. Today's Tea and Stories is actually kind of a spooky story. It's a story that I wrote for a group of children who asked me to write them a story. I do that quite often, when I have little ones, and I tell them a story of little 8 John, which I will tell you today if I get through this one in enough time. But this story is called Eloise Breedlove's Journal. Now, there were 2 Eloise Breedloves. The elder Eloise, who was an older woman, and little Eloise, her granddaughter. Now, Eloise, big Eloise, was Niecy's great aunt, and little Eloise was her cousin. Now, Eloise and her brother Ricardo didn't come to stay for very long, but their mother and father were both in the service, and they were both deployed. So, little Eloise had to come and stay with big Eloise. And Nellie loved her cousin, because even though she was kind of tiny, and she was a little bit younger, she was very smart. In fact, so smart that she went on to school online. And if you looked at her grades, she was actually in the 11th grade, even though she was only 11 years old. She was a very smart girl. And Ella loved her, because she didn't act like she was too smart for everybody else. She was just smart. Now, the girls that lived in their little town didn't like her at all. They talked about her big old glasses and her teeny weeny self, and always had something nasty to say about her. But little Eloise didn't care. She just sat there with 2 journals, her drawing journal and her writing journal, and then sometimes a book. And she would sit on the front steps, and she would draw, or she would take pictures, or she would just read. Nella would come over and talk to her, and they would laugh together and bounce around. But Nella's best friend, her best friend's name was Josie. And they were getting to those middle school years, and Josie decided that she didn't like little Eloise. I say we take her book. Why would I do that? My cousin doesn't bother anybody. Because she thinks she's smarter than everybody else. That's because she is. I say we take her book. Plus, she's probably always writing nasty things about us. Have you ever looked in her book, Nella? Of course, she had never looked in Eloise's book. She had never even thought to ask her. It was private. It was Eloise's. She had seen her sketchbook, though. She was really good. She could draw really, really well. But she had never looked in her journal. So Josie said, well, you don't have to take it. I'll take it. You just distract her. Because Josie was her best friend, she didn't. She sat down and talked to Eloise, and she was real nervous and playing with things on the porch. And she said, what's wrong with you? Eloise asked her. El, why don't you ever show anybody what's in your journal? Because it's private. It's just beginnings of stories and stuff. It's no big deal. But it's mine. You know? Yeah. Nella did know. She felt really bad, and before she could say anything now, Josie gave her the signal, which meant that she had the book. "Eloise," Josie said real quiet, "I'm sorry, okay?" "For what?" "You'll see in a little bit." Eloise just looked up at her, looked back down and started drawing. And Josie came out. "Oh, looky here. Miss I can write. She doesn't seem to be able to write anything. This is just gibberish." And she turned it around. And on it there were marks. Some dots and dashes. Josie didn't know what she had in her hand. But Nella did. "What are you laughing about, Nella?" "Nothing, Josie. Just give my cousin back her book." "Why? Didn't you tell her that you helped me take it?" "You did help her?" said Eloise. "Yes, I did. That's why I said I was sorry." "I forgive you, but I kind of want my book back." "Maybe I'll just tear it up." "No, Josie, don't tear up her book. Give it back to her." Now Nella was angry at her best friend. Josie wasn't used to that. She threw the book down and said, I can't read it anyway. It's just scratching." "You're dumb, just like your dumb cousin." And off she walked. Nella looked down, and Eloise said, "You laughed because you know what it is." "Yeah, it's Arabic, right?" "Oh, some of it's Arabic. Some of it's just in shorthand. I did that so nobody could read it." "Well, it worked. Nobody can." And the two cousins laughed. So for that whole part of the school year, they hung out together. Then Eloise, she had a really good idea. "I think that we could get back at Josie. That's if you want to. I know that's your friend. It's okay. She needs a lesson." "Okay," she whispered in her ear. And as Nella heard the plan, she started to giggle. "That'll get her real good. Okay, you gotta go along." "Okay, I will." She took another notebook, one that Eloise gave her, and off they went. Now Eloise went back to the front porch and acted like she was looking for something. Josie had to come over to Nella's house because her mama needed some baking powder. "Oh, you're talking to me today? I just wanted to give you a peace offering. Here, this is her real journal. The other one she just had out there." "Really? You're not lying, are you?" "Why would I do that?" She looked at it. She goes, "Oh my goodness. Have you read this, Nella?" "No, I didn't read it." "Why? What does it say?" It says, "I am a special journal. I can tell the truth. I know things about everyone. Just ask me." You don't think it's like haunted or anything. Now, the reason why Josie said that is because the Breedloves had been all through this time. They had been people who had worked with herbs. They were herbalists. But people in the community, they used to call them roots worker. People who would work roots on people. Of course, it was fiddlesticks. They were just the people who had medicines that were from the old country. But it was okay, because they were going to teach her a lesson. She kept looking at the book, and Josie took it home that night. And she said, "I wrote something in it." We'll see when I come home whether it'll have something written. He said that it takes 24 hours. Do you think... Nah. Nella said, you never know. I mean, my people are known to work roots. I thought you said that wasn't true. Well, I didn't think it was until I started to spend more time with Eloise. You know she's smart. Well, when she came home from school, she ran up to her room to get the book. And there it was, laying open on her bed. Mama, were you in my room today? And her mother said, no, Josie, baby, why? Oh, nothing, Mom. She looked at Nella. She said, Nella, the book is open. I didn't leave it open. Does it say something? And when she opened it, the book said, 4 paces to the left, 4 paces to the right, next to the old oak tree. You'll find it. Go, Josie. No, this is scary. It's from the devil. I know it is. You don't know that. It looks like a treasure map. Maybe your brother came up here. No, he wouldn't do that. He doesn't come in my room. Yeah. I'm scared. Don't be scared. Come on. Let's go. And so they did it. 4 paces to the left, 4 paces to the right, and under the oak tree. When they dug it up, they found a box. It's a box. Well, maybe it is like a treasure. Maybe. Nella sat down. And Josie opened the box a little bit. She opened it a little bit more. And then she opened it all the way. And inside it said, now you've done it. You're cursed. Ah! Said Josie, and she ran. And she ran all the way home. And the minute she got home, she threw the book out the window. And down below was standing Eloise. She picked up the journal book and she looked at her cousin. It was wrong of us to trick her like that. Are you going to tell her it was a trick? I should. That's what a good friend would do anyway. Was she a good friend? You know, Eloise, you're right about some things, but you're not right about how to be a good friend. I've got to tell her that we tricked her. She's going to be mad, but at least she'll know that I was being honest. What did you put in that box anyway? Oh, I just put a blue stone in there. That's not what was in there. There was something in there that says you did it now. I didn't put that in there, said Eloise. Nella looked at her and said, maybe it was kind of a spooky book. I don't know, but I didn't put that in there. I just put a blue stone. Well, I'll take my box. I'll take my book, and I'll go home. I'll see you later, cousin. Okay, cousin, she said. She looked back up. She knocked on the door of her friend's house, and she said, Can I talk to Josie? Sure, she's right upstairs in her room. She's acting mighty strange. What happened when you guys went out? Nothing. We were just playing a game. I just want to see her, okay? Okay. She went up to the room. She looked at her friend and she told her what they had done. But she told her that Eloise swore that all she did was put a blue stone in there. Did you see a blue stone? I didn't see a blue stone. All I saw was a creepy message. That wasn't funny. No, it wasn't. I didn't mean to scare you, Josie. Please forgive me. And the two friends sat there and looked at each other. And Josie said, well, I wasn't really nice to you, and I definitely wasn't nice to Eloise. It's just, whenever she comes around, you just don't have time for me, and I was just feeling bad. But do you think that she's really tricking both of us, and that she actually put that creepy message in? No, I don't think so. She was as surprised as we were, but Eloise is just one of those people. She's just a little strange, but she really is nice. I think we should go find out if she really did that. Well, we could. But Josie, you don't have to worry about Eloise. She's my cousin. She and I will be friends forever. Just like I hope you and I will be. Yeah, I guess. Okay, let's go see her. And the two girls walked over, and Eloise was sitting on the front porch. She was drawing. And they both sat on either side. What are you drawing? Oh, just the oak tree. I really didn't put that weird message in there, you know. No, she didn't, said a voice from behind them. It was her brother, Ricardo. I put it in there. Here's the stone. I just thought I'd trick you guys. You should have seen your faces, you two. And he ran off. Sounded like one of his dumb tricks, said Eloise. But you acted like it was no big deal. That's because I knew there had to be explanation for it. You're too easily scared. Oh, really? The two girls said, and all of them started laughing. The rest of the school year was lovely. The three of them hung out together all the time. And they learned something too. They learned that you don't lose one friend just because you have a new friend. You just have to learn to be a friend. And they decided that they would never, ever, ever, ever play tricks on each other again. Pinky promise. Yeah, did you like that? Normally with kids, I stop part of the way through and I ask them, did they think that Eloise did that, or did they think that it was really something spooky? They liked that story, and I liked it too. Because I think that a lot of times you need to tell children stories that have kind of a moral to it for them. It's part of our African American storytelling culture to tell those special stories. Now, the next story that I'm going to tell is actually a story that is from the African American tradition. It's actually from, if I remember correctly, this story is from Louisiana. And it's called Little 8 John. Now, I've heard Little 8 John told in a lot of ways. Now, there's two versions of this story. They end very, very differently. I'm going to do it in what's called the PG version of this story, because I actually changed the end of this story because of a sister storyteller of mine, an elder sister storyteller of mine named Wanda Gidget. She did not like the end of the story, because at the end of the story, well, you'll see. I want everyone to say it with me. Little 8 John. Now, Little 8 John, he was called that because he was kind of small. He was only 8 years old, and he was named after his daddy, Big John. Now, Little 8 John was what you call a very mischievous little boy. Very, very mischievous. So mischievous, in fact, that every time his mama told him to do something, he would do the opposite. If his mama told him to go wash his face, he'd splash water on it. And if she asked him, He would say, yes, Mama, I did. I washed it very good. And then when she would walk away, he would go. Well, in the little town where little John lived, they had a lot of superstitions. One of them was that you never, ever, ever step on a freshly dug grave. Never, ever, ever. Because that means that the spirit will come and get you. Not the spirit of the dead person, but the spirit of raw head and bloody bones. Now, that particular morning, there was an old man who was buried. He was a mean old man, and greedy, and trifling. Now, that mean old man, he was so mean that he sold his truck to a man, and he decided to take it back. So he put his hand on the end of that truck. Yes, he did. And he didn't let go. Even though that truck drug him all through the city. Drug him so bad that all was left at the end was raw head and bloody bones. Mm-hmm. And everybody knew that if you stepped on a grave like that, that spirit was going to come back for you. So his mama told him, little John, now I want you to go straight to school today, boy. I don't want you to go through that graveyard, you hear me? Your daddy, he's going for a new job today. And he go for that new job, we going to be living high off the hog. So, just so you won't bring your daddy no bad luck, you ain't going to go through that graveyard now, is you, boy? He said, oh, no, not me, Mama. Me? I never do. Me, Mama? I never do nothing like that. I'm going straight to school. Yes, I am. And she said, now, very good. Now, let me go inside and get your lunch. And when she went inside, he went. When his mama came back out, he looked straight as a country preacher. She gave him his lunch, and she watched him as he walked a little ways down the road. And she said, bye, little John. Bye. Be a good boy today. Yes, ma'am. I'm going straight to school, ma'am. All right. And she went back in the house. And as soon as he saw his mama went back in the house, that boy made a beeline for that graveyard. And he went and found that fresh dug grave. Yes, he did. And he said, I ain't going to walk on it. I'm going to dance on it. And he went, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And he went to school. Well, when he came home that afternoon, he found his mama sitting out on the porch. She had a little apron on, and she was just a-crying. And he said, what's wrong with you, Mama? Oh, little John. Your daddy, he didn't get the job today. In fact, he even lost the job he did have. No, you weren't being a bad boy now, were you? You weren't out there doing nothing you had no business doing now, were you, baby? Oh, no, not me, Mama. I never do nothing like that. No, not me. No, I'm a good boy. I went straight to school. You sure now, baby? Yep, I'm sure, Mama. All right. Let me get myself together. Now, supper be done soon. I want you to go in that room and wash them hands, all right? All right, Mama. She went in the house and he went. And he went in there and he splashed a little water on his hands and went like this. And he went to the kitchen table. And she said, now, little John, you leave that dog alone. You hear me? And dog, if you get to making any noise while you in here, you're going to stay out all night. You hear me? The dog went, because the dog knew little John loved to torment him. Well, they had fresh country peas and some mashed potatoes and fried chicken for dinner. And they had a big soda pot with a long straw. And little John looked at that straw and he just smiled and the dog went. Dog. Dog put his head down. Now, we all need to hold hands and pray. I can't reach, Mama. Okay, little H-John. Then just put your palms up and we gonna pray. And Mama closed her eyes to pray. Daddy closed his eyes to pray. Little H-John only closed one eye. He looked at that dog. He took a pea and put it inside that straw. And he went. And the dog went. And he went. The dog went. And Mama looked at that dog and said, "That's it, dog. Out." The dog looked back at little H-John and went. Little H-John went. Now, after dinner, little H-John's room was right off the kitchen. And after dinner, his mama said, "Now, you go in there and you get that basin. And I put some warm water in that basin already. And you wash yourself up good, boy. And make sure you wash the bottoms of your feet. You hear me?" "Yes, Mama." He went in the room. And you know what? He stepped in that. He took that basin, put it on the floor, and stepped in it a few times. Put his hands in it a few times. And he wiped it off. And he didn't wash nothing the good Lord gave him but his bottoms of his feet and his hands. And he put on his pajamas and got under the covers. And his mama said, "Now, did you wash your feet and you wash your hands good, son?" "Yes, ma'am, I wash my hands and I wash my feet." "Now, you washed up good, right?" "Yes, ma'am, I did." "All right. Good night, little H-John. Now, you say your prayers before you go to sleep. And remember, no talking about raw head and bloody bones. That'll give you nightmares. Plus, you don't want them to come back and see you. Now, do you?" "No, ma'am. I won't say nothing about them." "Okay." But when his mama went to church, he said, "I ain't saying no prayer. I don't want to. And I ain't gonna say raw head and bloody bones. I'm gonna sing it." So he started to sing, "Raw head and bloody bones. Raw head and bloody bones. Raw head and bloody bones." Ha! I'm sleepy. And he laid down to go to sleep. Well, that night, as soon as that boy got to sleep good, and the moon was just right in the sky, he heard. He thought the dog had gotten back in. And he said, "Hush, dog. I'm trying to sleep." And he heard. "Little H-John, look at me." Little H-John, he sat up in his bed and he looked around. He didn't see nothing. He said, "My mind must be playing tricks on me." He lay back down and he heard. "Little H-John, wake up." And little H-John sat up and he looked, and sitting on the end of his bed was a skeleton. And that skeleton had one eyeball hanging out with a little blood and guts dripping down. And he said, "I heard you call me. My name is Raw Head and Bloody Bones. You done called me, boy." Well, little H-John was terrified, but he didn't want to admit it. I didn't call you. I didn't. I was singing. I was just a singing. Now, you leave me alone, because I got to go back to sleep so I can get my beauty sleep. Now, leave me alone and get out my room. This is my room." And he laid down and put the cover back over his head. And Rawhead went, "Ah," and he grabbed the blanket and pulled it back and said, "You scared, ain't ya, boy? Ain't ya?" I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm just sleepy. Now, go away. This is my room. Leave me alone." You scared. You admit you're scared and I'll leave you alone, boy. But if you don't admit it, I'm going to take care of you for life. I ain't scared. I ain't scared. Now just get out. He said, admit you're scared. I ain't. Admit it. I ain't. Admit it. I ain't. And Rawhead and Bloody Bones pulled the covers off of him. And he put out his bony hand. And he went, ah! And a light shot out from his hand that looked like boogers and snot and goo. And it fell all over little H-John. And little H-John couldn't scream. He couldn't do anything. And then all the lights went out. And it was dark again. Now the next morning, his mama got up early. And she yelled in the room, little H-John, now it's Saturday. We got chores to do. But mama's going to make you some flapjacks. And she went above her stove and got her biggest, blackest, heaviest cast iron frying pan. And she had it in her hand. And she went over to the door and she knocked. Little H-John, get up. Come on, you lazy boy, now get up. And all she heard was, sss. She said, little H-John. Sss. Little H-John, you in there funning your mama? You get up. Sss. And she opened the door, and when she looked over at his bed, she saw all these covers, and she saw a little shape that went like this. And she said, little H-John, and got closer. Little H-John? And she grabbed the cover and she pulled it back. And she saw the biggest, nastiest, hissing cockroach that she had ever seen in her whole life. And she picked up that frying pan and got ready to hit him. And all of a sudden she heard, no! No, Mommy. It's me. It's little H-John. Mommy, don't hit me with that frying pan. And when he looked down, she looked down, she saw that cockroach turn back into her little boy. And she went, oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord, little H-John. She took the frying pan and set it down, and she said, boy, was you up there messing with Rawhead and Bloody Bones? Yes, Mama. Little H-John, why are you lying like that, boy? You better promise me you'll never do that again. And both of them held each other and they both cried. Now, I'll tell you this. Little H-John never, ever again lied to his mama. Now, everybody else he lied to, but not to his mama. Never, ever lied to her again. But if you're a good child, you never have to worry about what happened to little H-John. But if you a nasty, bad little lying child, beware the tale of little H-John. The end. So did you like that? I see Titania liked it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The first time I told that to a group of kids, I really scared the bejeebies because usually at the end of that story, he doesn't get spared. He gets killed by his mom. She kills him with the frying pan. But just for Mama Wanda, I changed the end of it because she said she could not see little kid getting squished with the frying pan. He said, you'll never lie again, Titania. It works for a lot of little kids. You'd be surprised. They always ask me afterwards, Mama Carla, is that a true story? I said, Excellent, baby. You like that story? You should tell that to the little kids you babysit. They'll like that. Well, I thank all of you guys for joining me for this live. I hope you come back. I'm so glad that you loved it, baby girl. I'm so glad. Tanya is the prettiest. Oh, she is so pretty. She's so gorgeous. Oh my goodness. She looks just like her mother. She looks like a little bitty Cupid doll. I just love her so much. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. And please join me tomorrow for more tea and stories. And please, if you can, shop on my page so that we'll have even more coming on. Thank you so much for your support. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the story, you can watch the replay later on. Love you very much. Mwah. See you tomorrow for more tea and stories.